Throughout the past several years, there has been a lot of video game based movies or even shows that have came out, some of them being alright, some of them being amazing, and then most of them being straight ass. And with this new Minecraft movie trailer that just came out, it got me thinking, how did we get to this point? So I decided it would be a great idea to watch some of these video game movies and shows myself. The first movie that comes to mind is the Super Mario Bros. Movie, and I'm not talking about this one, I'm talking about this. This movie was actually the first video game movie to ever come out, and I actually remember watching it as a kid, but holy smokes, bro, I did not remember how cursed this movie was. This is Mario. Honestly, it's not that bad. This is pretty much what I'd imagine him to look like in real life. This is Luigi. So it's getting a little worse, but I mean, I guess it works. Now this is Goomba. What the premise of this movie is that basically the meteor that hit the dinosaurs and made them extinct, well, yeah, that actually separated the universe into two dimensions, where you got the regular dimension and then the cyberpunk sewer dimension, where there's like half human, half dinosaur, reptilian type people. Princess Daisy wasn't actually a princess in this movie. Instead, she was a reptilian that hatched out of a dinosaur egg. Now, assuming you've never seen this movie before, can you tell that this is supposed to be Bowser? I mean, even Yoshi made an appearance and they turned his ass into a velociraptor. 99% of this movie had not a single thing relating to the game in any way. In all seriousness though, this Mario parody video from 8 years ago with iDubbbz, Filthy Frank, and the whole group was somehow able to make a more accurate and enjoyable experience to watch than the actual $50 million budget movie.
I think I fractured this, Mario.
So yeah, the Mario movie set the video game film genre off to a pretty bad start, but this was just the beginning of a whole new world of video game movies. And if y'all want a whole new world of fire content, then feel free to drop a sub. Not long after, people started realizing that turning video games into films was an actual infinite money glitch, because they could just take an existing title that people already know and love and turn that into hundreds of millions of dollars. The best part is that it doesn't even matter if the film is ass. People are still going to want to watch to see what their favorite film looks like as a real life adaptation. Once they realized that, they started making movies for all these classic games. They got Street Fighter at a whopping 11% Rotten Tomatoes, Mortal Kombat at 45%, which is actually one of the best rated video game movies up until recent times. The one that came out after that went back down to 4% though, so it didn't last too long. We got Lara Croft Tomb Raider at 20%, Resident Evil at 35%, Doom at 18%, and the list goes on. I actually love the Resident Evil games and I've been playing them for quite a bit, but the movies are quite an interesting take on it. So many things in the movie just make no sense at all. Some mysterious guy just throws this virus into a room and it sends the entire world into a zombies apocalypse. They got this one scene that's low-key kind of fire where everyone's trapped in this room and they gotta like dodge these lasers until eventually they're like, all right, let's pull out the grid laser. So the dude who went through all of those lasers and did all this parkour shit, he's like, all right, bro, I'm cooked. And then he just gets fried. The plot is pretty much completely different from anything that happens in the games as far as I can tell. To be fair though, yeah, these Resident Evil movies were pretty bad. But I mean, it's kind of one of those movies where it's like, it's so bad, it's good. Also, at least it has like some stuff from the game. It's not like completely different like how the Mario movie is. If y'all play video games at all, chances are you're probably at least familiar with the Doom games. I'm not even going to lie to y'all. I haven't really played a whole lot of it, and I know I probably should, but I feel like at least the base idea of the games are pretty simple. You could sum up the entire series into 2 words: shoot demons. And that's pretty much what the game is about. And somehow the Doom movie fucks it up. In this movie, we got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as the main character, and he's not the nicest. I'll leave it at that.
Go to hell.
They also got Butcher from The Boys, which is pretty awesome. So we got a pretty interesting cast, but the issue is that there's hardly any demons in the entire movie. You don't see a single one of them until nearly halfway into the movie. I do gotta say though, they have this pretty badass scene where it's one of the guys and he's going full first person shooter mode on them, and he just starts blasting that place up, and you finally get to see a couple cool demon looking creatures, which are still basically zombies. I mean, I don't get why on earth whoever's in charge feels the need to take the game's fundamentals ideas that makes these games what they are and then completely slam dunk that shit into a trash can. I'm no expert, but I feel like Doom is probably one of the easiest games that you could turn into a movie. As time went on though, things started to drastically change, and it seems like video game movies actually took a step in the right direction. A lot of these filmmakers were actually starting to try to make movies that were getting a little closer to the games that they were portraying. Maybe not in all aspects, because a lot of the times the plot or even the characters would be completely different, but at least it seems like they were trying to match the vibe or the core feeling of the games more often. The Silent Hill movie was actually one of the more accurate depictions of a video game, because it followed a similar plot to the original, which was low-key groundbreaking at the time because it seemed like these other movies were just doing whatever they wanted to. It was still different from the original and it had new characters, but I mean, the fact that they were able to follow through with the core ideas of the game is at least a good start. The plot of the original game is this guy who's searching for his daughter lost in this place called Silent Hill, and in the movie it's this woman who's searching for her daughter in Silent Hill. They were able to match that strange, kind of creepy, eerie atmosphere that the games had. I'm not saying it's a perfect movie or anything because it definitely did get a lot of criticism, but I mean, for the time it was definitely a step in the right direction. Now I low-key forgot about this banger, but I feel like we entered a new era once WreckIt Ralph came out. I just remember watching this when I was a kid, and this was actual flames. It's not an actual video game itself, but the movie itself was based on video games as a whole, and it featured a lot of like random cameos and stuff from other video games. They had Bowser, Sonic the Hedgehog, they had Chun-Li. There were other movies that came out a little after where they kind of used like different stuff from different games but had its own plot. The movie Pixel had a bunch of stuff from different arcade games and like different characters and all that. It wasn't a hugely loved movie, but I don't think it was made to be a masterpiece. I mean, they got Adam Sandler in it, come on. I think it's just meant to be like a fun, unserious kind of movie.
Hello, my sweet little boy. Look how big you've grown. That's so sweet, he's so sweet. I know, you're a good boy.
An even better example that I know a lot of people loved was Ready Player One. The plot of this movie is that this guy's going into like this VR world with a bunch of people and they're trying to solve this big Easter egg like it's called zombies or something, which is actually such a cool plot idea. Honestly, they could have just called this VR chat the movie and it would have worked out pretty well. For a while after, it was kind of a dry period. They had Detective Pikachu, which I mean, I guess is video game related. A new version of Tomb Raider came out, and then there was also this Rampage movie, which was basically just Godzilla with giant zoo animals doing cool shit and fighting. I never even realized that this was based on a game, but I mean, apparently it actually was. They made the bag with hundreds of millions of dollars, so I would say it was a bit of a success, but I mean, it was still pretty dry, I'm gonna be honest, until the Sonic movie had been announced. As far as I can remember, this has got to be one of the most infamous movie trailers to ever release within this past decade. Honestly, maybe even my lifetime. People were flaming the shit out this hedgehog because why would they spend millions of dollars on this movie and then decide it was okay to make Sonic look like this? And this movie is a prime example of why bullying works, because people flamed this movie so hard they forced them to go back and completely redesign Sonic. I don't know about y'all, but to me that's actually so surprising that they went out of their way, listen to people's criticism, and it probably spent millions of dollars more just to fix it because people were complaining about it. Keep in mind, this is all after the trailer had already released, but even more surprisingly, it actually paid off because the new Sonic they redesigned was pretty solid. And on top of that, the film was pretty well received, at least from what I've heard, which would not have been the case if they didn't take the time and effort to redesign it. I feel like this does go to show that yes, if people complain enough about something, even if it's to a multi-million-dollar company, changes can still be made even if it seems like it's too late. And that's a point I'm gonna make for the Minecraft movie, but I'm gonna get into that in a little. After we entered the 2020s, we finally started to get some good video game films. It only took 30 years. Now I say movies, but a lot of the good stuff we got were actually from shows. The first being The Last of Us, and holy smokes, this might be one of my favorite shows that I have ever watched. I played some of the game a long time ago back when I was rocking the PS3, but I don't think I ever got that far into it. So when I watched the show, I was pretty much experiencing the entire thing for the first time. It follows the video game's plot so well that I actually remembered some of the first parts of the show back from when I played the original game as a kid. I remember some of the specific scenes, for example, like when Joel meets Ellie for the first time in that random building. A lot of these video game adaptations from before kind of sucked ass, and I don't think a lot of the people who made them even really cared about the games themselves most of the time. It almost always seems like the video game films are just a gimmick to profit off of the already successful title, and this is extremely obvious when they get these A-list celebrities to act in them. However, with The Last of Us show, if you just erase the games from existence, the show is still incredible on its own. Like when I watched it, it doesn't even feel like it was based on a video game. Honestly, a huge part of that is probably because the original games already had a well thought out story and simply is a story game, so it makes more sense to take from that. I really feel like not every game needs an adaptation, but this one actually made sense, so it worked out. The plot and the character chemistry and all that just felt so smooth, and it didn't feel like anything was forced to work out. Fallout was another amazing show, and they actually did things a bit different from how The Last of Us did it, but it still worked. Instead of closely following a specific plot from one of the games, they took all the core aspects of the games, like the vaults, the outfits, the wasteland, enemies, and a whole bunch of stuff, and they used the entire world to build a new story on, which I think is the best thing they could have done in that scenario. So even though it was a completely new story, it still felt like it belonged in the Fallout universe. Even besides the shows, a lot of the movies have also been pretty fire, like with the Super Mario Bros movie, and not this one, This one, it wasn't the craziest or most innovative film, but I feel like they did exactly what they needed to do. The way they adapted the world into the movie was really cool and unique to see, but it wasn't too out of touch with the original games. Like with all those 2D platform levels, they referenced that in the movie by turning it into this parkour training course, which was such a cool way that they did it. It takes everything about it from the game and really puts that live action practical spin on it, which I thought was perfectly executed, but that's just one example out of the entire movie. Maybe a more controversial one is the Five Nights at Freddy's movie that released not too long ago. I know some people thought the movie was mid or whatever, and I don't think it was a masterpiece, but for what it was, it seems like they did a really good job adapting some of the mechanics and stuff into the movie. It was like the creators genuinely cared about the game and the community, because there's a lot of like crazy Easter eggs and stuff and references in the movie that only people who played the game would understand. I remember there was this conspiracy theory back in the day about this hidden animatronic named Sparky the dog, which of course turned out to be a fake fan-made edit by someone. Come on, man. But they actually for real put him in the movie as like an Easter egg. I think that's actually one of this movie's major flaws though, because yeah, if you're someone who doesn't know anything about the game's lore, then this movie is going to kind of suck ass, especially without context. But yeah, whether or not you found that specific movie good, it does seem like there has been some pretty good video game movies and shows popping up recently. Sadly though, that is not always the case. I just ruined the Borderlands series for me by watching this new movie that came out for it. Borderlands is like for real one of my favorite video game series of all time, and I don't know what this movie was trying to achieve. They took characters from different games, specific plot points, and they just like smacked that shit together, and none of it made any sense at all. I don't even think they knew who this movie was trying to appeal to, because if you've never played the games before, you would have no idea what the fuck is going on. And even if you have, they fucked this shit up so bad it makes me cringe looking at the characters. They got good actors, but the casting just makes no sense. I don't know who decided they should turn all the characters into senior citizens. It's like they asked ChatGPT to give them random actors, and then they just randomized the characters to them. As far as the actual quality of the film itself, this costed like over $120 million to make, and they had to have been money laundering or something, because this looks like it was shot on iPhone and the CGI was made after someone's first time watching a Blender tutorial. You can literally see the production crew member in one of the important scenes in the movie. It's like no one who made this movie played the games or even watched over the actual movie itself. Now the reason I even made this whole video and went down this rabbit hole was because of the new Minecraft movie trailer. After I watched it, I just felt feelings of disappointment. This movie was supposed to release at the beginning of 2019, so here I am waiting 6 years later for this movie to drop, and this is what they've been cooking. Now honestly, it could have been way worse, but I feel like the fact that it took this long to come up with something that should have been so obvious that it was going to be poorly received is just ridiculous. The first and most obvious problem that me and most people had with it was the art style. There's so many things wrong on so many different levels. The world doesn't even look like Minecraft, or even blocky in some cases. I really do not like how they used actual real life characters in the world instead of just turning them into like blocky characters like the rest of the world at least.
Who are you?
I am Steve.
I've seen a million people try to reanimate the Minecraft movie trailer, and I'm not gonna lie, most of them don't look that great, but I've seen a couple that at least look similar to a direction that I think they should have gone in. I do have to give them credit though. I will say that everything from the Nether, in my opinion, looks fucking beautiful. I've seen some people complain about it, but I mean, I don't know, I love the piglins and the ghast and all that. Besides the art style though, like what even is happening in the trailer? So much of this stuff doesn't even make sense. Like what is this? Honestly, I don't even mind Jack Black as Steve. My main issue though is the rest of the casting. I can't judge too much because I haven't seen the movie yet, of course, but why are these adults with these random kids? There is a chance the movie can still be good, but I mean, we're just gonna have to wait and see, I guess. Luckily, it seems like we are getting more solid movies here and there. If I had to predict, there's about a 1000% chance that we are going to get a Fortnite movie within the next 2 years. Mark my words on that. I feel like there are a lot of games that could make cool movies though. I don't know though, there's been a lot of great movies, but it seems like the vast majority of them are like just so pointless and just like such a cash grab. Next, we're probably going to get a Geometry Dash movie or something, like who knows. But yeah, let me know what y'all think and what y'all would like to see an adaptation of, and let me know what y'all think about some of these movies down in the comments, because I'm curious to see. Also, I just want to say shout out to y'all for getting me to 15,000 subs. I for real appreciate every single one of y'all, and we're on the road to 100,000, so if y'all want to be early and drop a sub, that would be pretty cool. But yeah, peace.